Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. You are live with the World Economic Forum. My name is Babington-Ashaye. I'm the head of the Global Shapers community. I'm also your host for something we all call Shape the World. This is a series of live, open, interactive conversations for people like you and me. People who care about the world beyond our responsibilities. We just care. So thank you for caring. Today we're talking about the soul of leadership. And we have a very special guest, a gentleman who needs no introduction. So I'm not even going to try. We're live with Deepak Chopra. I'm sure you all know this already. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Deepak, for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Am I speaking loud enough? You seem to have a much higher voice.
Oh, I think it's just in my jeans.
Okay,
but they can hear you. So
okay.
Thank you very much for joining everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Live on the soul of leadership. Now, you know how this works, unless you're really new. If you give us a shout out, we give you a shout out back. So, hello, Handoyo, thank you. I'll do the shout outs, don't worry. But, Deepak, if I can ask you, the soul of leadership, what is the soul of leadership?
I think of a leader as the soul of a group consciousness. So that group consciousness could be like a family. It could be a community, it could be an organization, it could be a country, it could be the entire world. But the leader acts as the symbol for that group consciousness in order to accelerate or catalyze their deepest longings, their deepest aspirations for the greater good. So the leader is different than a manager. A manager manages what's going on efficiently, but a leader acts as an agent for change and transformation. And the leader has to be in touch with his or her soul in order to connect to the soul of that group consciousness.
Amazing. All right. So, I hope you guys follow. So, I think I understand soul twice. Mm-hmm. So, first, the leader is the soul of that organization. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, that consciousness of that organization or people or group. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the leader must connect with the leader's own soul.
So that by connecting with that domain of awareness, which is universal,
yes,
because at the ground of your being is the same as the ground of my being,
yes,
and the ground of all beings. So when I get in touch with my soul, I have access to yours and everyone else's. And then from that level, I act as a catalyst for change and transformation for a greater good.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Deepak. All right, if you join in,
said what the
we are going to dig deeper. And this is your broadcast to run. Namaste, Anuj. Thank you for giving us a shout out. All right, you can ask any question. And Deepak Chopra is here live. He will take your questions. We're talking about the soul of leadership. The soul of leadership. If you think anybody else needs to join, I can think of a few world leaders. But if you think of anybody else needs to join, hit that share button and bring them in. All right, any questions? So, Radwan, brilliant question. Radwan gets the first question. What is the difference between traditional leadership and soul leadership?
Unfortunately, leadership has been about personal power, influence peddling, cronyism, bureaucracy frequently, and corruption. Those are the facts. I mean, look at corporate leadership right now.
That doesn't sound very inspiring.
But it has been. And political leadership particularly is about power. So I'm not talking about power, I'm talking about service. And I'm also talking about service from a very deeper level, where you get in touch with meaning, context, relationship, archetypal themes, and the deepest values that you have at your core consciousness, such as what kind of world do you want to see? How do you want to participate in the creation of that world? How do you want your children and their children to experience the world? What are you going to do about it? What do you offer to the vision, and what do you expect those that are part of your team to offer? How do you bond with them emotionally? How do you complement each other's strengths? How do you have a shared vision which is selfless. So it's very different from traditional leadership.
All right, Radwan, I hope you got your question answered. We are live. This is Shape the World, brought to you by the World Economic Forum, and we have a super special guest, Deepak Chopra, and we are discussing soul leadership. Yes, you can give us comments. So Dimple says, a great leader makes it look effortless. Dimple, I think you read my mind, because I was thinking that sounds like a lot of effort, what I just heard. But I guess...
I want to respond to that.
Oh, please.
If you're in touch with your soul, then life is effortless. Not only leadership, life is effortless. It's called the state of flow, because your soul connecting with a deeper, larger mystery that we call universal soul or cosmic consciousness or the divine has that as an ally. And when you have the divine as your ally, nothing can stop you.
Okay, and to connect to that cosmic soul, the path, how do we get there? Is our soul connected to our soul?
Yeah, but how do you get in touch with your own soul? It's through going inward, it's going beyond the mind, it's going beyond your emotions to your core consciousness, which can be described as your awareness. So awareness is common to all of us, but then perceptions are not common to all of us. And perceptions are innumerable, but they're all on the ground of awareness, on the ground of consciousness. So when we go there, we connect with each other,
yes.
And then our differences actually become an advantage, not a disadvantage, because now you have unity in diversity.
Okay, then I think I know where the next question, I want to give the next question to Holistic B, Leslie Kurt Boxhorn. Great name. How do we deal with oppression of color, sex, sexual orientation, and religion?
We deal with it not by fighting darkness with darkness, but by bringing the light of consciousness, awareness, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, insight, inspiration, higher consciousness, intuition, creativity, and the highest vision that we can have for ourselves. So we bring the light and we don't fight.
Okay, I mean, that sounds beautiful. But somebody, imagine like the Black Lives Matter movement in the USA. Somebody says your life does not matter. And we need to respond with light?
Yes, because somebody says your life does not matter and you become enraged by that, then you add to the melodrama of the collective rage. So to have rage is rage, whether it's even when it is morally justified. Okay. People use this word, I'm morally outraged.
Yes.
Okay, but the rage is rage.
Okay.
And if consciousness is a field, then you add to the rage. The solution is not rage, but creativity. And
okay.
There's nothing that can stop a creative person. That's what Nelson Mandela is an example of. Okay, he's not an example of rage, even though in his earlier years he was.
Yes.
But as he matured, he realized, in fact, he said, to have a resentment or grievance or rage is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemy. So, he was ready to forgive. And in fact, not only was he ready to forgive, he took some of his critics and made them cabinet members.
Yes.
So he made them allies. He turned enemies into allies. That's what the soul of leadership is about.
Okay, now you said something which I think is key here. You talked about if you're angry, you bring your rage and you add to the consciousness. Why is that consciousness so important? Why should we care what happens to that consciousness?
Because consciousness is not personal. Consciousness is transpersonal and even trans-species. You can have a relationship with your dog or your cat.
Yes.
Okay, even though you don't understand what's really going on in the consciousness of your dog or your cat. But there's a transpersonal, even trans-species realm of consciousness called love, called empathy, called compassion, called equanimity or peace. These are divine qualities that we all have in the depths of our being. And when we go there, then we are bringing the light of awareness instead of moral outrage, which is still rage.
Okay, fantastic. We have a question which I saw now from Jonathan. Jonathan was asking, would you say we live in a time right now where the world needs soul leadership?
Yes, we live in a time where there is a lot of threat to our collective survival. We have eco-destruction, we have conflict everywhere in the world, we have ethnocentrism, as you just said, racism, we have bigotry, we have hatred, we have mechanized death, we have weapons of mass destruction, we have climate change. So if you look at this whole picture, it's actually very devastating because we still have tribal identities, but we have modern capacities for destruction. So this is a time where if we don't actually go to the depths of our being, we will never see a more sustainable, just, healthier, and more joyful planet. We will actually have an extinction. The last extinction was 65 million years ago, when a meteorite came on and hit the planet Earth, and dinosaurs were wiped out, and actually, evolutionary speaking, we were the product of that mass extinction. So if we humans get extinct, nature will create something even greater than that. Nature might say the human beings were a good experiment, but it did not work.
Yes.
So, we shouldn't be thinking about ourselves right now. We should be thinking about our planet, about humanity, and about all sentient beings that form part of our ecosystem.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, and thank you all. The feed is exploding. You're live with the World Economic Forum. This is Shape the World, an open conversation for people like you and me. And our special guest, Deepak Chopra, is talking to us on soul leadership. Pose your questions and you get a frank response. Now, Deepak, I'd like to ask you, because it's linked to what you just said, today is International Day of Tolerance. Can you please help us define tolerance? What is tolerance?
Actually, I am totally on board with the International Day of Tolerance, except, the word is a little bit not comfortable for me. It means I have to tolerate you,
Yes.
even though I don't really think I like you. So
Yes.
I'm a little nervous of that word.
Yes.
I think, but if you're going to use the word, then it's a first step towards forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean necessarily that you forgive the other person because forgive the other person because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace and because we all deserve peace. So forgiveness is the first step, to ask for forgiveness and then also to give forgiveness on both sides. Whenever there's a conflict, by the way,
Yes.
it's because both sides feel that they're in the right?
Yes.
There is the sense of wrong on both sides.
Yeah.
There's lack of respect on both sides. There's fear on both sides.
Yes, that's true.
So tolerance means first to confront our own fears, forgive ourselves for our own biases and prejudices, and ask for forgiveness of the other and be willing to forgive the other. And then you move beyond tolerance to reconciliation, and then you move beyond reconciliation to cooperation, and then you move beyond cooperation to what we call compassion, love, and a shared vision for all of us.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I have to give a shout out to somebody who asked the question on Twitter before we came live. It's linked to this. It's a lady called Catherine Rose Barreto, and she asked, on Tolerance Day, should we be preaching tolerance or should we be preaching acceptance? And listening to you, I'd love your thoughts on that.
I think we should be preaching acceptance and then going beyond that. How can we come together for a greater good that benefits all of us and that benefits the planet? My mantra in my head all the time is more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world.
Amazing. Fantastic. Thank you very much. We have a special request in the feed. I think you saw it just now. A lady called Erica would like us to give each other a hug. All right, Erica, I hope this one's for you. All right, we got the hug done. Thank you very much. All right, we're live with Deepak Chopra. He's going to have to go soon. So if you have any more questions, we're talking about soul leadership. Any questions you have on soul leadership?
I may have to go soon, but we have eternity to come back and talk about these issues.
Absolutely.
And, embark on this very special journey, Soul of Leadership.
All right, fantastic. Any more questions? that you have on soul leadership. Now, for somebody who wants to take this seriously, because you've explained that a leader, if you like, is the soul of a group or a community or an organization. And for them to actively or to properly be that soul, they must connect with their own soul. Now, is this something that everybody can do? Or do we have to, is it the president who has to do this?
No, the president is just the symbolic soul of the group consciousness. And right now that is so confused that our president, whoever it is in any country, represents that confusion at this moment. So we got what we deserved. In order to have a new kind of leadership, we all have to be leaders in our families, in our communities, in our work area, in our businesses, in our countries, and in the world in general.
All right, we have a practical question from Nancy. Nancy is asking, how do you deal with a leader that has no soul? That sounds really scary, Nancy, but Deepak is here, so
if the
all the
leader
answers.
doesn't have a soul, then the group consciousness that he or she represents has no soul either. So you can't ever blame the leader. You want to get a new leader, you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. And once you're the change, and if you reach a critical mass with that change, then the leader will manifest automatically.
Amazing, powerful, and practical. So that's something we can all do something about. We have another question. Somebody asked, how do you deal with a leader who's a bully?
Then that leader was created by bullies. You can stop being a bully yourself, and if we reach a critical mass of people who are more compassionate, more empathetic, and free of guilt or shame or mistrust. You know, bullies are basically full of guilt and shame, and then they'll create leaders that represent them.
Okay, all right. So the buck stops with us, basically.
Always. As Mahatma Gandhi said, you have to be the change you want to see in the world.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Any more comments? We're discussing soul leadership with Deepak Chopra. Any more comments you have? I want you to drive this conversation. Now, can I ask you, Deepak, for people, because you do have people who follow your teaching and who follow your guidance, for people who work to get in touch with their soul, what are some of the common obstacles that they may encounter?
There are no obstacles. You just have to take some time for self-reflection. Self-reflection means sitting in silence and asking meaningful questions like, who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose? What am I grateful for? What kind of leader I want to be? What kind of team I want to have? What do I have to give? What do I want to receive? And many others. What are my skills? What are my talents? How do I use them? Who are my heroes and heroines in history, mythology, religion? What is the story I want to create? What kind of relationships I want to have? On and on. So you have to create what is called a soul profile. Most people don't identify with their soul profile.
Yeah.
They identify with their ego profile, which is their bio, what other people think of themselves, of them.
I like that.
And you have to go to a deeper level, which is yourself, which is independent of both flattery and criticism, which feels beneath no one and superior to no one, and which is totally fearless. So self-reflection, self-awareness, transcendence, meditation, mindfulness, enhancing or harnessing the powers of intuition, creativity and vision, this is what creates the soul of leadership.
All right, thank you. I think we're getting to something super practical there. You talked about creating a soul profile, and you talked about how that's different from an ego profile.
Yes.
Now, somebody asked in the feed, how do I deal with the bully in myself? And please stay there, because I think what Deepak is talking about, this soul profile, might help you deal with that bully in yourself. Now,
it's a very good question, because first of all, the fact that you ask this question means you are aware of the bully in yourself. That's the first step.
Yes.
Secondly, you have to recognize that the bully in yourself is actually coming from fear. Thirdly, you have to forgive the bully in yourself because it's there, and unless you forgive that bully in yourself, you will not move forward. Fourthly, before you react to any situation that is kind of representative of that bully, you press the pause button and observe your reaction to react. And then if you just do this, I call it the stop formula.
Yeah.
S stands for stop. T stands for take 3 deep breaths and smile and observe what's happening in your body because it doesn't feel good. So therefore observe, O stands for and P stands for proceed with awareness and compassion.
Brilliant. You have a 4-step guide to finding your soul profile.
And also going beyond the bully in yourself.
And going beyond the bully in yourself. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. You often say something about a selfie. I'd love you to just expand a bit on that.
You know, we live in a culture of narcissism. Has always existed. That's why we have the Greek myth of Narcissus. So narcissism is being totally in love with your self-image. You know, the original mythical story of Narcissus was he was looking in a pool of water and he was admiring his face and he got so caught up in it, he fell into the pool of water and drowned or something like that. Yes. So this culture that we have has actually sacrificed the self for the selfie. I'm speaking metaphorically, which means that we believe in our self-image instead of believing in ourselves.
That's very powerful, and I guess that maps onto the soul profile versus the ego profile?
Absolutely. The ego profile is your selfie.
All right, fantastic. We're about to go. We literally have to wrap up very shortly. If you have any final questions, please post them in the feed.
But I have an idea before we go.
Oh, fantastic. So let's listen to the idea. But before you say the idea, I want to say, please, if you think anybody else needs to be in this conversation, can you just hit that share button on your phone or your laptop? Hit that share button. Let's get some more love onto the feed. Now, Deepak, you have an idea. And please speak it to the camera.
No, my idea
I can see you right there.
With Yemi right now, since I have this opportunity, I was thinking that we may want to create a Soul of Leadership course, maybe, if you're amenable to it, through your forum, which is so huge and which is already creating leaders across the world.
What do you guys think? Let us know. Post in the feed. Soul of Leadership, kind of what's a course or an exchange. And I love everyone on this feed. There's a live conversation going on, which is just fascinating to read. If you do have questions for Deepak, we're going to have to wrap up very shortly. Give us any additional questions you have before we go, and let us know what you think about soul leadership and whether it would be useful to follow a Soul of Leadership course. Hitesh was asking, do you have data for some of the things you teach?
There is data that has been created by the Gallup organization that gathers data on how people trust a leader that offers hope, trust, stability, and compassion.
Yes.
And when those leaders actually bring hope, trust, stability, and compassion through practical steps, and I teach this at Kellogg Business School and also in Columbia Business School, and also to corporations, and I've acted with some, personally had interactions with some heads of state that are willing to embrace this idea, and the data keeps accumulating that we do need a leader who actually represents our deepest longings and our deepest values.
Okay, Sue is asking, what is the best way to get buy-in as a soul leader? Sue, that's a very interesting question. Maybe if I can just build on that.
I think first you need to get the skills of a soul leader, which are deep listening with the mind, with the heart, with the body, with the soul, emotional and social intelligence, expanding awareness, being action-oriented, taking responsibility for well-being, and harnessing what I call the power of synchronicity.
Tell us about the power of synchronicity.
Well, over the years when I've interviewed leaders, they all say one of the following things. I was lucky, or I happened to be in the right place at the right time. There were many coincidences. If they are religious, they use the word grace or God or the divine, but they all mean the same things. They mean that they were able to find opportunity in adversity, and they were prepared to discover that opportunity. So good luck in my mind is just opportunity and preparedness come together. And the preparedness comes by being in touch with your soul.
Okay, now I wanted to build Sue's question. She said about buy-in. So if you get into your soul, you become a leader. Sue's asking, how do you get buy-in? You need people around you to almost buy into that idea. Sometimes, you said listen, but sometimes what if the people you're listening to say, listen, just tell me what to do. I don't have time. Don't listen to me. I came here to follow. And what if your boss says, you know what? Why are you listening so much? Just tell them what to do. So how do you get buy-in from people?
There's no kind of soundbite answer other than the state of consciousness you're in.
Yes.
You automatically attract people in your life who are in the same state of consciousness. So if you're in fear, people around you will show up who are also in fear. If you're in anger, then people around you will show up who are also in that state.
Okay.
And if you're in a higher state of consciousness, you will attract those people. You don't have to try to get buy-in.
Yeah, but some of us have bosses. So, for example, can I just two questions related to this? Is it okay if you tell your colleagues or your employees sometimes, or you know what, I'm going to lead differently? Does it help to signal that? And on the other side, does it help to signal to your boss? Ask your boss.
You have to learn the skills of what I call non-violent communication, which is you have to state what you observe, you have to state what you feel, you have to state what you need, you have to express your vulnerability, and then you have to request a change. If you demand a change or you state that you want that change, it will never get fulfilled. But if you frame it as a request out of a sense of need and honesty and integrity and feeling and vulnerability, it's likely to be met.
Beautiful and practical at the same time. We're going to have to wrap up. Deepak, I'm going to come to you for a final word to say goodbye. But before I do that, I want to thank all of you driving a fantastic conversation. You have probably broken and shattered records in terms of the conversation that's going on right now. So I'm going to read it. If you're watching this broadcast after it's live, please post in the feed because we all read it afterwards and everything you say really helps. Now,
take it easy.
Take it easy?
That's it. Easy come, easy go. If that's your attitude and you don't take yourself seriously, the world is yours.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a conversation, an open conversation with Deepak Chopra on soul leadership. Watch this space. He's proposed an idea and he usually gets things done that he proposes. So there might be more. Thank you so much. Please continue to shape the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.